gentlemen, it is football season. We've already had the preseason going on, a lot of things going on, but we got college football. We had a little bit of college football, but tomorrow it's going down, and then this weekend it goes down for real. It is football season. This is the Detroit Sports Sit Down. My name is Tom Murphy Jr. I got my brother Dan to my right. I got my buddy Joe to the left. And we are ready to go. We're ready to talk football. We are jacked up. It is college football season. But we're going to start with the Lions, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to start with the Detroit Lions because they already are in their mix. The first 2 weeks of preseason were looking good. And then the Patriots came to town, and it took all of 48 seconds for things to start going downhill. The season's over. We got embarrassed.
Crazy how quick things change.
Sorry, it's already
even in
over,
preseason.
man.
Even in preseason.
It's not even September yet. The season's over. We're not good. We can't run the ball. We can't stop anybody. Jared Davis is a straight bust.
Yeah, he looked pretty bad.
He had a rough game.
Yeah, real bad.
But that's not even the big news because, look, man. Davis is going to be just fine. He's going to be a star. The star of the show, and it is solidified now. The star of the Detroit Lions, the face of the Detroit Lions for the next 5 years is one Mr. Don't call me Matt. My name is Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford. 5 years. A bunch of millions of dollars. $27 million a year. Dan, I'm going to start with you. How do you feel? How do you feel about Matt Stafford being the highest paid player in NFL history?
Being the highest paid player, that was going to come with the territory. We kind of all knew that before these contract talks even got going. But we threw out, I don't know if it was our first podcast, second podcast, but we talked about the Matt Stafford contract extension and the talks, and I threw out the $27 million number. We talked about Derek Carr, 24, 25. I said, give Stafford 27. We'll just get this done, get it done before the season, let's go. And it turns out that's the exact number they gave was $27 million, and I'm good with that. We talked last episode, maybe, man, it might go to 30, over 30 million. Like
franchising them.
We couldn't franchise them, though. Like, Cousins showed that if we franchise him 2 years in a row, he'd get $50 million.
It's just going to go. Yeah,
exactly.
That's why they gave him the $50 million guaranteed. Because if he would have done that, he would have had $58 million in the 2 years.
And that's where you start really getting worried about how much of the salary cap he was going to take. Obviously, $27 million per year is still quite a bit. Like I said, he's the highest paid player in the NFL, but that's just how this works. Whoever the top quarterback is that's up for a contract extension, he's going to be the highest paid player in the NFL.
Yeah.
So the next quarterback that comes, he's going to be the highest paid player. The next quarterback after that, he's going to be the highest paid player. It's just how this goes right now. If you're a top 10 quarterback and you're up for a contract extension, you're going to be the highest paid player in the league.
And think about that. Look at this. Kirk Cousins was a 4th-round draft pick. People were shocked when the Washington Redskins took Kirk Cousins in the 4th round when they used the number 1 pick.
RG3.
On RG3. And here we are, man. Like, this quarterback circle it's insane. And I don't think Stafford is a top 5 quarterback. I think he's a top 10. I mean, we can list them off. Like obviously you got Brady, there's Brady, Rodgers, Drew Brees, Roethlisberger. Who else you want to put in front of him? Phillip Rivers. What about Eli Manning?
And a lot of these guys are getting older. They're 5-6 years older.
These guys a lot of these guys are Super Bowl champions.
They are, but Stafford's entering his prime now. You look at it.
9 years.
Yeah, 28,
29 for a quarterback is your prime years.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And you look at it, and sometimes, especially in a situation like this, you got to pay a player for what you think he's going to do in the future. You can't pay a player for what he's done in the past. We saw what happened with the Tigers when they did that.
Yeah.
You pay for what they did in the past instead of what they're going to do in the future. In this situation, the Lions are being proactive and they're paying for a guy what they think they're going to do in the future, and he's entering his prime. And I think we all can sit here and think he's going to do great things and do better things than what he's done in the past, and take the Lions to a further point than what we've been to. And I think we all can sit here and agree and think he's going to win playoff games. He is. To me, he should have already won a playoff game in Dallas.
Well, you get a lot of talk about he doesn't have any playoff wins. He doesn't have he has a terrible record against winning teams on the road. You know, he plays with 52 other guys.
It's a team game, exactly.
So what I learned about Matt Stafford this week in getting this contract, and what I learned about Bob Quinn too, about this whole organization, but mostly what I learned about Stafford is that he did realize he's a very smart dude. He knows his place in the game. He knows his market value, but he also knew what dragging this out can do to his team. And he said it. We're going to lead into the press conference where Stafford talked, and you're going to hear how smart this dude is. And that's what excites me about this contract, is that the future is bright. Let's take a minute to this. Let's listen to the guy who's going to lead us to the promised land in the next 5 years.
It was important. It wasn't something that all along I knew was going to be the case. But as it got into training camp a little bit, I realized that, I think we have an extremely talented team, and for us to be worrying about, or anybody, even myself, about my contract situation or what it was going to be, was going to be a disservice to the organization, to our team, to the players in the locker room. So I wanted to get this thing done and kind of realized that during training camp. And, like Bob said, without Mrs. Ford, Bob's hard work, Matt Harris, Rod Wood, Coach, everybody, it took everybody to get it done in the time frame it did, including Tom Connon and my guys at CA. So I just couldn't have done it, obviously, without those guys, and appreciate it. I'm just glad that we're getting this thing wrapped up and we can move on to the season. It's not much different than I feel yesterday. I work extremely hard, no matter salary is for the year or anything like that. It's just part of what comes with the position of playing quarterback in this league and playing it at a high level, and that's what I strive to do. And I don't do that for anything other than the guys in the locker room, the coaching staff that puts in all the hard work to get us ready to play, and my teammates. Obviously couldn't have, gotten to this point without a lot of help from all those guys. I've loved playing here. I'm going to continue to love playing here. Obviously a great ownership group. I love playing for the Fords. Mrs. Ford reached out to me today. Had a great conversation with her. Her family is always around and great, so that makes it a lot of fun for me. And then, the guys in the locker room, teammates, coaches, front office guys, we're all involved. We're all in this, and I consider myself lucky to be a part of it. And, just happy that I can continue here for another 6 at least.
All right, look, does he sound like a politician? Yeah. Does he sound like a guy who just got given a huge check? Yeah. But he sounds like a guy who knows what's going on. And he's given a third of his life to this organization already. And if he wanted to get out of here, he could have. He could have bled this thing dry and got out and signed with whoever. And he didn't. He's here. This is his team. We drafted him number 1 after an 0-16 season. The worst season in NFL history, and he came in and was given all the... I mean, is there pressure when the team's 0-16? I don't know, but he was given, like you got to take the worst team in NFL history, and we're going to give you a boatload of money, and you got to fix this. So... And he took that pressure, and what did they win, 3 games the next year? And then
he got hurt the first 2 years too because he had a terrible team in front of him, especially a terrible offensive line.
Broken collarbone,
getting murdered out there. But he's been around. Now the record speaks for itself. But another record that speaks for itself is the record that was made last year of all those fourth quarter comebacks. That was something special, and I think we all realize here that. Where you gonna go? Now, listen, hear me out. You can not even franchise Stafford. You can just let him walk. You can think maybe Rudolph's going, or
at least trade him.
You can just go and start taking draft picks. Hopefully and like hopefully go 3-13 and get the first pick in the draft, or maybe you get the second pick. So you're sitting here. There's 2 quarterbacks maybe. You might get Peyton Manning, but you might get Ryan Leaf. So you're already sitting here, not even knowing like where to go or what to do, and your whole franchise is completely set back for year after year after year because you're trying to find a quarterback. When you have Matt Stafford here, and you signed him, you got it done, and he showed that he can lead this team. I think everybody in that locker room understands the business, and they understand what he did with getting this contract done.
I think he was a little nervous though after the New England game. After how bad his offensive line was, and maybe he thought, hey, I might not make $27 million a year. Maybe my line's not good. I could get hurt, and maybe he got it done before the regular season. I was kind of thinking that earlier today, that after such a bad game, he's like, let's get it done, and he needed to get it done. Just kind of my opinion today. I was thinking about it.
I think that's a good point, but I also think he just wanted to get it done. I don't think he wanted it to be a distraction. Leading into the season and leading into the next season and just lingering there. I think, like everybody, just wanted this thing done. And look at the Lions as, okay, this is who we are now. This is Matt Stafford's team. This is Bob Quinn's team. And that's what we have to look at. These are the 2 guys that are going to make this team. Matt Stafford's the quarterback for the next 6 seasons, and Bob Quinn is the GM who's going to build this thing. And he's got to find a way to build a team around him and put players around him that can help this team succeed and get past and get to a point that they've never been. They've won 1 playoff game in over 50 years. I mean, it's one of the worst franchises in sports.
I think Joe didn't just make a small part. I think his contract and him getting it done at this time, I don't think it was thrown into place because of that game. That bloodbath that we saw. Oh my God!
Do we call that a game?
Oh man, dude, seriously, that was disturbing. It was.
Really was.
Like it was like.
You text me, but I was at work and I didn't know what was going on.
Oh, because I want to finish off this Matt Stafford point quick, but we got to get into this preseason game because there are some issues, man. Not good and bad. There are some talking points coming out of the Week 3 playoff game, the preseason.
Jeez,
listen though, it felt like a preseason playoff game, man. Honestly,
yeah, really.
If that exists.
Think about this though, because.
Preseason playoff.
Yeah, because you had the Super Bowl champion coming in. Your team was looking good, blah blah blah. And people were jacked up. I was jacked up for the Lions. I was excited to see the dress rehearsal against the Super Bowl champions, Tom Brady. All this. This is the most hyped up preseason game. And I said it last week. It was an oxymoron that this was a hyped up preseason game, but it really was. And what made it so bad was the balloon popped so quick, man.
Yeah, it does.
They scored a touchdown in the first minute, and then what was that?
Tate,
like a
Tate
fumbled immediately, and then immediately it was another touchdown. 24-0 in the first quarter.
It was a bloodbath, like
whatever
you said.
it was. Like it was because I was working, but I'm lucky enough to work in a place where I can watch the game as well. Man, and there's other people around too. I was like, what is going on? This is it was just here we go, and then here we go, and so you go on social media. And there it is, man. It's all over. This is the team. They're same old lines. It didn't take but
a preseason
3 weeks into the preseason game
for us to go
for same old lines.
Well, the complete high to complete low.
And maybe and that's what I say. Maybe you have a point. Maybe Stafford was like, man,
yeah,
dude, I might get murdered this year, man. I better sign this guy because if I don't do this now, man, I might not survive this season. But so guaranteed money and all that for Stafford, he.
I think in general though, why go into the season without a contract? Without something set in stone. What if he does blow his shoulder out? Regardless, he could have the greatest offensive line in front of him, what anybody's ever seen. Somebody could slip through and a middle linebacker come through in a blitz that way, miss and get drilled, and his shoulder's gone.
Just running, just trying to take a couple yards.
Exactly. It's NFL. It's a full contact sport. Anything can happen.
Yeah, he's been tough. He's been pretty much. I mean, he had the finger last year. Obviously, it was but. And then, like you said, his first 2 years, he got that shoulder blown out, man. And injuries happen, and everybody knows NFL, man, not for long, man. The next play can be your last, man, and everybody knows that. Mm-hmm. That plays the game, and so look, I don't think he got scared and signed a contract because he saw what New England brought in week 3 of the preseason. It's funny to talk about. It's a solid point, but this thing's been in the works for a year now. And they just, I think, like he said, like Stafford from the top on by, he had a conversation with Martha Ford. I take that for what it's worth. She's the owner of the team, so it's probably worth a lot. But he got it done. Everybody got it done, and Bob Quinn got it done. And I'm really believing in Bob Quinn. I think everybody knew. You knew Stafford's the guy, man. Like I say, he's getting into like his real quarterback prime, and there's a lot of football to be played, and this guy's gonna be the guy for now. And then so everybody knows who's the leader. It's Stafford, but he's got to be the leader now. He's got to continue to be the leader. And he's got to shake these things. And when I think of Stafford, I really hope that something is really comparable to... You guys remember when Steve Young was the backup for Joe Montana? And he finally won that Super Bowl. And he does, and there's that famous... Yeah, he literally does the motion of taking a monkey out, and then he's got his teammates all around him helping him do that. I want that for Stafford. I want that for the Lions. I want that for myself.
I think the closest comparison is Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan was really struggling to get over the hump. He had quite the losing record in the playoffs, and just couldn't get to that
big arm, the big money,
and he was expected to be the leader and take the Falcons to the next step, and he just never could do it. And then finally last year, it all came together for him, and they got the Super Bowl. They blew a 28-3 lead. That's a whole other story. But they were right there. They had the Super Bowl in their grasp.
Is that not a great commercial? You seen that commercial? I think you guys seen that one with Matt Ryan? There's about losing and like.
I don't think I've seen that one. No.
Yeah. Oh man.
I know there's so many memes and different things out there.
Well, it's a television commercial, and I think it's a Gatorade, and it's basically the premise is it's all these champions, but it have lost, and the premise is like. You know what makes you great? Losing. Feeling defeat and then coming back from
makes you
that.
Work even harder.
Yeah. And I couldn't believe, I don't know the size of the check. I'm sure it was large for that Matt Ryan got to do that commercial. But it was very interesting for me to see a commercial with Matt Ryan being like, yeah, I lost that Super Bowl, man. Like, they hit it and it's great. It wasn't just him. And there's a part of the commercial where it's Matt Ryan, and it looks like it's just him and his wide receivers just doing extra practice the day after the Super Bowl, pretty much, next year starts today kind of thing. And but yeah, I think you got a great point with that. Like Matt Ryan, he did. Now
they're similar quarterbacks to me. Matt Ryan,
similar.
Yeah,
I think that's the best comparison.
Yeah. Matt Ryan's got a huge thing to climb on, man, because now you gotta win, man. You got there and you lost. If he flames out in the first round of the playoffs, that's tough.
Oh, and we just want Stafford to get to that point. We want him to just win a playoff game at this point.
So do you think? So Matt Ryan has officially surpassed Stafford as far as NFL legacy because he got to the Super Bowl.
In terms of standards and what are
even though he lost in the most one of the most devastating
He's got a playoff
ways to lose a Super Bowl ever.
But I think it's not like Matt Ryan lost that suit. It's not like it was all of a sudden throwing interceptions, throwing the ball all over the place. That was just a total team meltdown. Coaching staff, players, and Tom Brady being
plus
amazing.
Patriots.
It was all of it.
If both players stop playing today, God forbid, but Matt Stafford never plays another NFL game. Matt Ryan never plays an NFL game. Who goes down in history as the better quarterback?
Oh, Matt Ryan.
Yeah,
absolutely.
for sure.
But he's reached that next step. That's what I'm saying with Stafford.
How far? Absolutely.
Yeah.
If they both stop playing today, yeah.
Why? Just because
He's won playoff games.
Did he win playoff, or did the Atlanta Falcons win playoff games? And hey,
but it's still the overall success that his record against winning teams, his record in the playoffs.
And what did it take? It took Atlanta finally getting all the right pieces around him. You were just bringing up that point. You were saying the reason why Matt Stafford and Matt Ryan are so closely compared is because they're pretty much equal talent. Matt Ryan took that extra step because the team was built around him.
I agree with that.
Good point.
In terms of just talent, if you're just comparing the talent, and you said who was better, Matt Ryan or Stafford, I would say, yeah, they're pretty equal. But if you were to say, in terms of just career, who has more Hall of Fame credentials, because you look at it differently. Hall of Fame credentials, you're going to look at record. You're going to look at how they took their team, how far they got. Matt Stafford doesn't have a playoff win. Matt Ryan took his team to the Super Bowl. It's just how you look at credentials. But if you're just looking at pure talent, that's it. Just pure talent.
Let me ask you this. Atlanta does not have a good year, and they do not make the playoffs. The Lions win the division finally, win one playoff game, and then lose the next. And then neither quarterback plays another game again.
You're really starting to really split hairs on
so how much?
argument
No,
here.
I'm saying how much weight does stats and individual play go versus team wins, playoff wins, Super Bowl appearances?
It's all of it together, I think.
It's all of it. Yeah, it's a combined resume.
What would it take for Matt Stafford being the highest paid? Because this is where I want to get to. Why is Matt Stafford the highest paid player in NFL history? And what will it take for him to earn that reputation? Earn being the highest paid player in NFL history. What, one playoff win? A Super Bowl appearance? A devastating Super Bowl loss? Like
another year.
Where do you
somebody
say
else's contract comes up?
Well, next year, Cousins, Matt Ryan is coming up, and he's got a Super Bowl
I know what
appearance
you're
now.
trying to say.
So now Matt Ryan, everybody's going to jump up. But what does Matt Ryan have to do to legitimize his contract right now?
You're saying Stafford legitimize?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, what does Matt Stafford have to do to legitimize the contract that he just got?
I think at this point the excuses stop. All the excuses. He doesn't have a team around him. He doesn't have a running game. His offensive line. He's got to start winning games on his own. And I think he started to do that last year until the hand injury, till the finger injury, because he was bringing his team back when it mattered in the crunch time. He was bringing his team back. And I know you're going to say, well, why did they even get to that point?
No, not that. I'm saying the finger injury coincided with running up against 4 powerhouse teams.
Yeah, it was kind of both, a little bit of both.
That's true, but I would have liked to have seen what a healthy Stafford could have done in those games.
Yeah,
especially the Green Bay game at home, because that was the season right there. Because they win the division, win the division, and get a home game.
Of Super Bowl for the Lions. Do you remember the intensity leading up to that game? At home, it's our time. We were a little distraught, because he did have the injury, but the intensity, the ferociousness of being a Lions fan on that.
I think there was also a lot of fear too going into that game for Lions fans, because you would hope that it was already going to be wrapped up to that point. Wow, and you just saw this boogeyman coming, Aaron Rodgers coming out of nowhere, and all of a sudden they rose back up. But no, I know what you're saying, but.
And that's what we need. We need a build-up, and then we need Matt Stafford to do something great.
Have a 4-touchdown game and win it.
Make a pass like Aaron Rodgers made, on the sideline in that playoff game, man. Aaron Rodgers has a million of them, man, but you can pinpoint a few of them, man. that's what Stafford needs to do. He needs to step up and be not just a leader, but he needs to be like magical, like be that Joe Montana, that Steve Young, that guy that makes that play at that time, and that's pure greatness. That's just greatness.
It has to be a huge game because he's had some magical moments. He's had, but they're kind of random regular season games.
Week 8 against the Browns.
Yeah, not a big game.
Yeah. I mean, they were big because and there is because he wouldn't have been to this point if he's not. The Lions would have moved on at some point if he didn't have. It's there. The talent is there. There's a reason, and Bob Quinn is not a dumb man. Like he knows this is the guy. This is the best route to take.
Mm-hmm.
And Stafford is the guy, and I got faith. I'm a lifelong Lions fan, so I know how ugly this can turn tomorrow. But I'm glad the deal got done. I think that's where I'm at.
I'll throw this at you. Despite the New England game, do you feel better this week as a Lions fan than you did last week?
I feel worse.
That's a tough question because honestly, you say despite. I can't say
it's
despite.
Hard to stand.
Like,
it is hard
because the Stafford contract, I was 95% sure. I was pretty sure that like Stafford was going to get signed.
I don't know if the season had started. I would have started getting worried, man. If the season had started with no contract on, I was going to get worried.
I mean, maybe, but it hadn't yet. I'm just saying at that time, like you're saying just a week ago. No, I'm saying like for me. The Stafford contract signing is great and all that, and it does give me some reassurance for the future and all that. But what worries me more immediately this week, today, as we talk, was that performance in that first quarter of that game. Because that was our starters. That was Jim Caldwell putting out the team that he's putting out this season, and they looked atrocious. It was freaking rough.
It was rough. It was
especially Davis. He looked lost out there.
He got schooled against.
That's what I'm saying, guys.
Two of the greatest
geniuses it was the first
football.
Quarter against the greatest team maybe we've ever seen.
You're right, but
he was lost.
It's still something to get worried about.
Yeah,
am I feeling great about it? Absolutely not.
Yeah, you're not going to have to play New England every week.
Exactly.
But this is still NFL football. You don't think every team is not going to take that film that they saw? And everybody's not Brady, everybody's not Belichick, but all that film is on tape. Every weakness that our rookie middle linebacker has is on the forefront.
Yeah, Jared Davis.
And mind you, he is a rookie. He played in the SEC last year. And he's got the world in his hands right now. But man, he's not Mike Singletary, man.
It's still early, but
it's so early. It's so early.
And he probably learned a ton. All right, he probably learned a ton, and no one. Not that I know him personally, but just in what I believe and what I've read about him, he's probably been going to bed watching film on that.
Oh, I guarantee it.
He's going to figure it out. But it's going to take time, man. But how much time can you give your middle linebacker?
He's going to have to learn quickly. I mean, the season starts soon here. He has to learn quickly because they are depending on him to be the rock of the defense, especially the rock of the front seven. And it was alarming. That was the most alarming thing.
That's what I wanted to talk about,
of the whole game.
For sure.
Was Jared Davis' performance because I was expecting him to come out. I mean, I didn't think he was going to be the greatest linebacker of all time, but everything you were hearing about him, we talked about it before, but you're hearing words of Ray Lewis being thrown around with this guy. And you're expecting to see greatness, right?
At least decent.
I'm sure it took Ray Lewis more than 3 preseason games to become Ray Lewis, too.
Sure. That's exactly
that's
right.
what we got. We got to pump the brakes a little bit, And that's what I kept saying to myself, man. And out there on social media, man, just it's preseason. But at the same time, it's like, oh, Lord. But look, man, it doesn't matter what happens. What matters is that first game against Arizona. And even if that blows up, There's 15 more. But look, you got to learn quickly though, like you said, man, because you start getting 0-2, 0-3.
As soon as you're 0-2, even 0-3.
You look at those stats, man. How many playoff teams in the history of the NFL have ever made the playoffs 0-2? Man, the numbers are low.
So
it's like cuts in half.
Yeah,
every loss.
It's unbelievable. So they got to get it together, man. You know, it comes down to me. I'm sorry.
Comes down to you.
It comes down to me saying that I'm sorry that I am not a Caldwell fan. I'm not.
That's something I want to bring up too.
I don't think he's the guy, man. I don't think he's the guy.
That's something I want to bring up too. You know, with Stafford signing, he's going to be here for 6 years. I think there's something to say about consistency with the team, with the coaching staff, with the quarterback. And you look at what Stafford's done with Jim Bob Cooter, the offense coordinator under Caldwell. When Cooter took over halfway through 2015, since then, Stafford's stats, 43 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. I mean, that's outstanding. His record's 15-9, 6 games over 500. And that's since Bob Cooter took over.
And that's with the running backs being hurt, though. Now, how much do you... Well, not the whole time. How much do you think that does weigh... Because those are nice stats, and we had a rough time running the ball last year. So this year, with an improved line, but with Decker being out, that's going to hurt. But Greg Robinson seems to be doing okay. And the running backs seem to be healthy. Do you think you see these numbers improve this season?
I think they can improve it if Abdul and Riddick stay healthy. Absolutely. Because the last 4 games, the Lions were 9-4. I mean, we keep harping on the Lions. We had a bad, preseason game, blah, blah, blah. They were 9-4, the number 2 team in the NFC.
And they lost 4 games.
And they lost 4 games in a row. Matt Stafford hurt his hand in that Chicago game.
The defense also started to bend, and guys didn't make plays because guys didn't make the right plays at the right times.
Yeah, it wasn't just his finger. I'll agree with that.
His
they
finger
played tough teams.
It was a big.
They played tough
teams.
teams.
They played 4 of the best teams in the NFL going down the stretch, but they lost all 4 games, man.
Yeah.
But look, it's a new year, and we got new guys, man. And I'm telling you, man, I am jacked up for TJ Lang to be on this team, man. I am really looking forward to seeing what TJ Lang, a Super Bowl champion and everyday guy, like he's going to bring something to this, not just the offensive line, but the whole team. I think he's going to know how to be a leader. And what do you think TJ Lang can offer Matt Stafford? Having TJ Lang being part of the backbone of one of the greatest quarterbacks of our generation in Aaron Rodgers. What kind of advice do you think TJ Lang is going to be able to give Matt Stafford in those heat of the moment battles?
I'm sure he can give him advice. He can give the whole team advice, being in those situations and being in those big time games. But more important than anything, TJ Lang's one of the best pass protectors in all of football at the guard position. And to me, that is the most important thing that he's going to bring to this football team is the pass protection skills. And just overall adding to that offensive line. That's the most beneficial thing he's bringing.
I didn't realize he's from my hometown, Royal Oak.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I knew he's from this area, but I didn't realize he's from Royal Oak.
Yeah, dude, he's a Metro Detroit guy.
Yeah,
man.
I knew he's from here, but I didn't realize from my hometown.
Went to Eastern Michigan.
Yeah. You're right about the experience. It's not going to be what he's going to tell Stafford. It's more or less what he's going to tell the offensive line. Oh, this guy's going to, blitz or whatever. Make sure you pick up him. More of his hand signals during the game, him picking up things. I think that's more of what he's going to help out than actually Stafford, other than protecting him.
Yeah. We're coming, man. We got this scrimmage coming up.
Basically, 4th preseason.
Oh, 4th preseason. Yeah, I'm not even going to watch it.
It's not. It's nothing. There's a couple things to look for. The guys that, the guys that come in at the back end of the roster. There's nothing really to look for. It's all about September 10th, right? Is that the date? Sunday, September 10th against the Arizona Cardinals at Ford Field.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, that's right.
It's coming quick, man.
Before you know it.
It's football season.
Football season.
Speaking of coming quick, Michigan is playing Florida on Saturday at 3:30, and Florida is going to have about 17 dudes that are eligible to play. Oh, we're going to switch. We're transitioning into college football, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about this Michigan-Florida game. We're going to hear one of my favorite people to hear from, probably you guys too, the great Jimmy Harbaugh. He talked, and we're going to listen. This is the Detroit Sports Sit Down. Stay tuned for some Go Blue.
Yeah, first of all, it was a really good group, and we looked at the seniors and the fifth-year players and who would be elected captain, and you put it up there on the ballot or on the screen, and really good leaders in that group. So, felt like we'd get two great captains when we voted, and we did. Mason Cole on offense, Mike McCray on defense. Both Go Blue guys, both poised to have big years, both starting players, both very good players at the highest level. So, excited about both of our captains. Have not heard of Florida announce who their starting quarterback would be. We'd love to have that information. No, we're not announcing our starting quarterback. As I said before, people make a lot of big deal about our roster or not announcing a starting quarterback. I have not seen a starting quarterback come out of Florida. Never any mention of that. Very interesting. Yes, we'd like to have that information from them. I'm sure they'd like to have it from us, and right now neither is given that information. Philosophy is a meritocracy, and there's competition that's healthy, productive, been very good. It's been a good camp for our quarterbacks, and we feel confident in our guys. We believe in them. I've liked the way our team has worked. I like the way they've competed without complaint. I like the way the team's come together. I like the communication where we are with our football team on the field, communicating calls, and I like their understanding of what we're doing schematically. I like the way they worked, all those things. It's a long, athletic team, very quick, very aggressive. They'll be in man coverage, and it's an attacking style of defense. Randy Shannon is an outstanding coach, and we're looking forward to the competition, find out where we're at, but against a very good and talented team.
A very good and talented team that is only going to be able to field about 17 people. I mean, how many people on Florida are even going to make the trip this week? Oh, my God. This game can't come fast enough for Florida because every day somebody else is getting suspended. Oh, Lord. Has this game become a must-win for Michigan for the simple fact that half the team is suspended?
Every game's a must-win in college football, but...
And it's not half the time, but it's 10 players, and the list grows every day. It's crazy.
Starting running back and our number one receiver are both gone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's... You're taking away their top two skill players right off the bat.
And what about the psyche of the team? And how many? What I want to know is if people keep coming up victim, if people keep coming up suspect every day, if people keep getting suspended every day, how many people on the team that aren't suspended yet are like, oh, am I next? What did I do, man? I better figure something out, man. So you see, like, this is something that's running through that whole team. This is not the way you want to start a football season if you're the Florida Gators. So, like, but yeah, my question is, man, like, has it, like you said, every week is a must win in college football, all that, but Michigan has to beat these guys now, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. We talked before, and I said I didn't think that they were going to win. I'm starting to change my tune a little bit there because of all the suspensions, and I didn't realize that they also have 10 starters as well on defense. Yeah, 10 new starters.
10 new starters, man. They a big focus on Michigan this season is having 10 new starters on defense. Florida is in the same boat. Yeah. And now they not only but just with these suspensions, and it's a story, and it's consistently a story, and it's consistently a new story. Every time a new player gets suspended, it's a new story.
And Michigan's going in. Their big conspiracy or controversy with them is that Jim Harbaugh won't put the depth chart out. Yeah. That's the big story with Michigan right now. Well, Florida's got 10 guys suspended.
Well, Jim McElwain, the head coach of Florida, I guess he has a reason not to put his roster or his depth chart
he
out.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know who the hell's going to be on the team tomorrow. And Harbaugh's sitting back there like, we're not putting nothing out. You'll know who's playing when they're running up the field on you. So it's in gamesmanship, yeah. Whatever. With Harbaugh, but that's Harbaugh's thing, and he did the same thing last year. What was it last year? God, I wish I remember.
Coyote.
But yeah, Wile E. Coyote played defensive end.
Cartoon characters.
Yeah, Homer Simpson
Fudd.
Starting quarterback.
I think
or
Elmer
something.
Fudd played that game too.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I love it, man. I love every minute of
it's
it.
gamesmanship, and he knows it. If there's one thing he knows the rules, and he will bend them to the point where it's like metal in a hot fire. Like he will bend it to the point, but he don't break them. Has he? He doesn't have. There's nothing.
There's nothing out there.
Yeah.
There's no rumors. There's no nothing, man. He just takes advantage of
There's
every opportunity he
story
can
after
find.
story, though. He's always in the media, but it's not for breaking the rules.
It's because he's pushing it, like you said, and people take it the wrong way. All the other coaches are. I think they're just jealous.
They're
that
jealous.
They didn't think of it.
Having a
Absolutely, they're
sleepover
jealous.
with the high school kicker, that was odd. There's whatever there was. There's somebody. But he's always been he's eccentric.
He's eccentric.
Yeah, he's a wild dude. But if he's getting recruits, if he's getting people to sign on, and then not only sign on, but then to believe in what he's doing, and that's where we're at. Like we were talking before the podcast, we're like, honestly, we don't know who the heck these guys are. You can do all your research. You can remember all the names of all these players, but the fact remains is you have 4 returning starters on offense and 1 returning starter on defense. This is a brand new team, but it's still Jim Harbaugh's team. It's year 3 of the Jim Harbaugh regime, and these are guys that Jim Harbaugh brought in now, and you're gonna, who I'm really looking forward to seeing is the number 1 guy that Jim Harbaugh brought in, and that's Rashawn Gary. I think he's going to be the star of the show off season, I think, but I really think he's going to be the star of the show this Saturday. And that's who I'm looking forward to seeing. So I'll ask you, Joe, and then Dan, I'll ask you next. Who are you guys looking forward to seeing? What are you guys looking forward to about Saturday at 3:30 on ABC?
I'm an old school traditional guy, so I like to see them run the ball. I like the tough nose football, and that's just
3
how
yards
I am.
in a cloud of dust.
Exactly, I'll take that. So I want to see them run the ball. That's what I want to see. I want to see them run the ball. And Spaeth, did I say that right? Spaeth. I always add the
Speight. His name is Spaeth.
I'm just interested in him too, and how if he's going to take the next level, and he could be an elite college quarterback.
Yeah,
that's my main 2 things about watching.
Yeah, what do you think,
The
man?
thing I'm looking at is these young
As you
receivers.
wear your Jumpman Jordan
That's
Michigan football shirt.
Absolutely, man. Go blue.
He's ready, man.
But I'm looking forward to seeing these young receivers, man, because, they lost Jake Butt. They lost their top 2 receivers from last year. All these guys are young. We haven't seen them. We haven't seen Donovan Peoples-Jones. We haven't seen Tariq Black. We've seen very little of Crawford.
Peoples-Jones, man, Cass Tech. I am excited for this dude to come out. I hope he comes out as a pure freshman. Is just that dude. I really do. You think that's possible?
I think it's possible too, but it's been a battle between him and Tariq Black.
Yeah.
Who's going to take that spot, take a starting receiver spot,
oh.
and they both performed well in camp from all reports. So it's exciting to read and see, but we'll actually see it on Saturday and see who's going to step up.
At a high level too. This isn't. I don't want to knock Michigan. We're not playing Bowling Green though. You know what I'm saying. We're not. We're.
Appalachian State or anybody.
Do not say. Oh, you did it. You did it. That's the one thing I wanted to avoid.
I know. That's why I did it.
Oh, Lord.
You know me. I always got to stir the pot.
Don't bring that up. But no,
Sorry,
man. We're not playing a directional school or a lower competition. is Florida. This is neutral site. This is a freaking bowl game on Labor Day weekend, man. Like, and it's so much fun as a college football fan and a Michigan fan to be a part of this game, man. Like, this is how you kick off. This is how you should kick off college football. But, and I'm holding for dramatic pause. If Michigan loses this national television super huge game against Florida with 10 players suspended, it's a complete freaking disaster.
I don't think it's a complete disaster. I mean, if Florida's
early.
Yeah, if Florida's still
that's your season, man. You're not getting into the playoffs because what if Florida goes? What if Florida goes on to continue to be a mess and they end up only winning like 4 games this season, and one of them was against you? That's a disaster. That's not getting to the playoffs.
You're probably gonna have to run the table at that point.
Oh yeah,
but
sure.
I mean, it's not a Big Ten game. It's not a Big Ten East game. So you're still in contention for everything you want in terms of the Big Ten. You put yourself, if you can win the Big Ten East, you put yourself in the Big Ten title game. You win the Big Ten, you're right there. I mean, you're right there in contention for a playoff spot. So, yeah, it's still a huge game, and I do think it's a must win, especially with all these suspensions. But you don't know how Florida's going to turn out. I mean, I don't know if most of these guys are just suspended for the one game, I believe. So these guys are it's kind of an ongoing investigation.
It's like ongoing, man. It could get worse, whatever. Who knows, man? It's ugly though. That's for sure.
That's for sure. Yeah, and like we said, Michigan has no controversy, nothing going on into the game, and Florida's got all this stuff. I'm sure these kids and Jim McElwain's getting asked every single day about these suspensions and about this investigation and everything that's going on.
Who's even playing? Who's on their jet track? And then who's next? Like so who's playing with all these mental things on their head, and then the next day they're next. Like for the 2 kids that got suspended today for the same thing that other players got suspended before. What do you think their last 2 weeks were like?
Oh, it's got to be hell mentally, thinking about it, like you said, if they're going to be the next one to go, if they're going to be the next one to get suspended.
You're a college kid, you're focused on this huge game, like you got all this stuff, like just all of it. But the biggest thing on your mind is, I might go to jail. Like, holy smokes, man! Like, so, and now it's rampant through the whole team. Now, even guys that know that they're here for football or they're here for school, they're just here to just be on the team and they didn't do nothing wrong. It's still on their minds all day. They're thinking about these suspensions and all this stuff more than they're thinking about the guy at Michigan who wants to be a star and is about to kick your ass.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, they're definitely thinking about that more.
In Michigan, in terms of just historically, I mean, in recent history, Michigan's had Florida's number. I mean, you go back to 2008.
Oh, yeah.
You go back to 2008 when they had Tebow. Michigan beat them 41-35. And you go back even more recently than that, 2016. And Jim McElwain was the coach. I think it was his first year at Florida, and it was Harbaugh's first year at Michigan. And Michigan just put the beat down on him, 41-7.
Oh, the bowl game, national television, and then McElwain wants to come out. Now he did it at it was like a pep rally basically. But he's saying, "Oh, we're going to beat Michigan," blah blah blah. Everybody says that. But
at a pep rally,
should
that's
they
what
ever?
you do.
Yeah, I know, but man, I don't even know if he should like. I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with it. Like, because he's got to say something. He's got to do something. He's got to put some type of positive spin on this season for him while his team was just getting decimated left and right. But I was reading it the other day, and it was like topic like, oh, Jim McElwain throwing shade at Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines. What else is he gonna do? Like, our guys are getting suspended left and right. We're probably going to get our asses kicked. Jim Harbaugh's a great man, and he's probably going to whoop my ass. He's going to say, "Go Gators!"
Right after all that?
Yeah. What are you going to say, man? So I don't know. So I would think, I guess that's a no issue thing, but that's the only type of heat I'm seeing from these guys other than...
Now, I want to ask you guys as a Michigan fan, we're going to this big game against Florida. Nationally televised, it's huge. It's Jim Harbaugh. It's everything Michigan, Florida. I mean, it's huge. And then you have all these suspensions. I mean, do you like it in terms of that it gives Michigan a better chance to win?
No.
Or is it just take everything away?
No,
It's just disappointing.
Not at all. Not at all. I am not. No, I'm not. I'm not. I really wish these guys didn't get suspended. I'm not saying that like all the details got to come out and whatnot, because I don't even think it's like a criminal investigation, and the school is taking like the forefront on it. Like these guys haven't been convicted in court yet, and it's kind of the same thing with Ezekiel Elliott with his 6-game suspension for the Dallas Cowboys. It's like I don't want to see these guys get in trouble. And
so not so much of that, but just in terms of it, the fact that these guys are out.
Yeah.
Michigan.
Just it's a little bit like exciting. It's funny. It's fun to say, "Hey, we're gonna win this game easy because half the team's out." But in reality, no, man. I want in a game of this magnitude, this big. Put all the best players on the team and let the best team win. I don't get excited so it's like rooting for injuries. You know?
No, it's not. It's completely different. I was just going to completely disagree.
No, how is it not? Being excited about guys getting suspended or being excited that some guys out like, oh, we got a better chance to win because so-and-so broke his leg last week, so
it's a difference when you're breaking the law and you're injured. There's a complete difference when you're...
Not when you're on the other side and you're going for a victory. So you're excited? You're happy that all these guys...
Yes, I am happy.
You're excited that
because I thought we were
going to
lose. Yeah, or lose. I thought we were going to lose.
You thought you would lose, but now that a couple stars are out because they did some dumb stuff, and you're happy, you're excited about that.
Yes, I am. It's because
go further.
It's because they put themselves in that position. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing if you're injured. You're not trying to get injured. These are dumb kids doing dumb things, stealing.
Welcome to college, man. How many? So
it's all right to steal? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying it's all right, but what I'm saying is I want the best talent on the field at that time. I'm not excited. And the question that Dan posed is, are you happy that these guys got suspended?
Yes, and I'm still saying yes.
And I'm saying no.
I mean, I don't want them to do dumb stuff and steal stuff, but they did it. I mean, allegedly, it's still under investigation.
Well, what if Florida wins?
Uh-huh.
Do you know how screwed up Michigan's season's gonna be because they lost to the team that was half suspended?
Well, you got to win out. If you win out, it's early. So
Ohio State did it. They lost their first game.
They did, yeah. It was a road game or a neutral site game?
It was a road game. I want to say Cincinnati. I don't know if Joey, if you can look that up real quick. I want to say it was Cincinnati.
What year was it?
That was they lost the season opener.
It was the season opener. It was on the road.
It might have been Cincinnati.
I swear it was Cincinnati, but I could be wrong on that. But I know it was on the road.
It wasn't even a big time game.
No. It wasn't. And then they ran the table after that.
And they went. And it was the year they went to the first playoff. Right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they lost their top 2 quarterbacks. Cardale Jones became the man. Yeah, they lost their first game, but I don't. Man, maybe it was. I feel it wasn't it Texas or something though.
No.
Hey, all right. Either way, all I'm saying is I want the best guys on the field at the time, and I wish when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, whatever your life circumstances are before that, and you get the opportunity to have this, and you throw it away over some dumb shit, that infuriates me. It doesn't make. But and I went to college and I made a bunch of stupid mistakes. Everybody does it, not everybody does it, but I mean, college kids make stupid decisions. But I don't want the Michigan-Florida game first game of the year for both teams, neutral site, huge ass game. I don't want it to be marred by 10 Florida idiots being suspended. That's what I'm saying. But am I a little excited that the other team is in disarray right now? As a fan, as a Michigan fan, yeah, I am, because we got an advantage now. So I just answered your question on both sides. That's what I did. But I just
think it almost makes it kind of a no-win situation in a way. in terms of how they're perceived, because if they win the game, well, all those guys are suspended. It's not the real Florida team that you beat. So, and then you look at...
A win's a win.
A win's a win, but at the end of the day, if it comes down to votes and it comes down to where they're perceived, I mean, it's still a committee that's going to decide who makes the playoffs, and maybe that makes a difference. When Michigan beat Florida, those 10 guys were suspended, so those were the real Florida team that they beat.
What about this, man? Let's say both, it comes down to the wire, and it's against Florida or Michigan getting a spot. And all Florida guys come back week 2. Let's say Michigan wins by a close game, right? Okay. Michigan wins close, 28-27. Florida goes on to run the table. Michigan loses one, has a misstep down the road at wherever, you lose, Penn State or at Wisconsin or something, right? So you got one loss. So you got 2 teams that got one loss, and it comes down for however it shakes out. It comes down to Florida or Michigan, and both resumes are pretty much equal. And Florida could actually get the better loss, because in the committee's eyes, the early season is not. It wasn't the real Florida, and it's not the early season losses. So the later loss, because look at how much that loss to Iowa killed Michigan last year, because it was the late season, even though it was on the road. A night game in Iowa, man, and granted, it was not a great time for Michigan. They lost that game. There was some bad. There was Harbaugh. Maybe even got out coached, whatever. But point being, it could come down to Michigan or Florida, and these suspensions could actually help Florida somehow. How stupid would that be? But how realistic is it as well?
Yeah, it just sucks. I mean, all around it sucks that these guys are suspended, because it takes away from the game in so many aspects. It takes away from the game immediately this Saturday, and it could affect the whole season when it all comes down to it, because it's not going to be a true win over Florida. And if it's a loss, then it almost becomes a bad loss. It's a neutral site game against a team that's decimated by suspensions, that's decimated by guys being out. So I just think it takes away from this game, which I've been so excited for so long, and now it's just not.
Let's pump the brake. Let's pump the brakes, though, man, because it's still football season. It's still Michigan. It's still Florida, and Michigan's gonna come out and beat that ass. And who cares who's on the field for Florida, because they're still wearing blue and orange colors, man.
And Michigan's gonna be wearing all maize. Did you guys see those? You see the new jersey? What do you think of that?
I haven't seen them.
Kind of lukewarm.
That's where I'm at.
I don't like it. I like it.
I like the traditional stuff. I mean, now I do like when Michigan basketball, when the Fab Five came out, man, with the all maize jerseys.
Maize, yeah.
Maybe they're trying to recreate a little bit of that, man, because there's something special about those maize basketball jerseys, man. Something real.
As long as they don't change the helmet, man. They'll never change the helmet. They better not.
That might be the only thing that could get Jim Harbaugh fired. He might get the rich rod experience if he tries to change the helmet.
I'm questioning the number 1, man.
I thought they went back to. Didn't they go back to the number 1 is sacred again? I thought
not really. I mean, they handed it to Dakota Crawford. Was wearing it last year, and he's wearing it again this year, I believe. It's not as sacred. I mean, he is a receiver, but you used to have to earn it. Remember Braylon Edwards? How Braylon Edwards had it was a whole big fiasco with Lloyd Carr and Braylon Edwards. How he was wearing 80, and he kept saying, "You got to earn it. If you really want the number 1, you got to earn it." I want to go back to that. I don't know why Harbaugh got away from that.
It should be. What I do on that level, you know what I want to see, and I think there's talk of it, retiring that number 2.
They should, or
do you
make
retire
it special? I would rather than make it special. Like the number 1 should be special. Like on the defensive side, secondary. You know, like you have to earn it to get the number 2.
Only a senior can wear
Only
it?
a senior or just a top
Or a
player.
captain.
Maybe a guy who's been playing for maybe
You
he started as a
well,
freshman and
you get it. So are you going to get into these high school athletes? Man, they want to. I'll come to your school, but I got to wear
that's the
number
thing.
2.
And I think that's kind of what's going on. Is they're giving out the number 1 to these guys who say, "Yeah, I'll come to your school."
Yeah, I don't like that. I thought Jim Harbaugh changed that.
No, Crawford was wearing that number 1 last year because I remember spotting him like, who's wearing number 1?
I'm looking at the
Who is
roster
that?
right now, and he's got number 1.
He's got number 1?
Yeah.
And what's his status?
What do you mean, what's his status?
Redshirt, freshman, sophomore?
He's a redshirt. Well, he's a sophomore because he played a little bit last year. I don't know if he qualified to lose his redshirt.
It says sophomore, yeah.
Yeah, so he should be a sophomore. But I mean, like,
is there anybody wearing number 2 this year?
Yeah, well, it's showing a lot of people wearing it, but it's weird. It shows
because Jim Harbaugh don't tell anybody who's on the roster.
It shows 3 people on number 1, but he's the only one with like his height and weight and stuff. Yeah. It's Crawford.
All right.
Kemp, Carlos Kemp, DL, defensive lineman.
Defensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's who it's showing, and it actually shows his height and weight like Crawford on number 1.
Yeah.
So
well, I think the number 1, it should go back to being sacred, and the number 2, I think should be.
He's a
retired.
sophomore too.
You think it should be retired?
I think it should be.
Why should the number 2 be retired, but not the number 1?
Michigan's only because Anthony Carter didn't win a national championship. Braylon Edwards didn't win a national championship. Charles Rogers.
Charles
Rogers.
It's getting late.
I'm sorry.
Charles Woodson. You confused with Charles Rogers.
Mr. Woodson, if you're listening, I apologize.
That is going to be that might be our first drop on our podcast. It's Tom calling Charles Woodson, Charles Rogers.
Remember when Woodson had the one-handed interception?
Of course, I remember. I also remember when you just called him Charles Rogers.
Let's Mr. Woodson. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Mr.
you're not gonna live that one down.
It's so late. I've been working all day, man. Oh my God, I can't. Charles.
It's actually early.
Woodson, number 2, should be retired. I firmly believe that. Charles Woodson is a national champion. He's a Heisman Trophy winner.
Okay, should 21 be retired too?
He didn't win a national championship,
but Heisman.
But yes,
there's no one 21.
I think if you retire number 2, the next move should be to retire. 21.
I think it's better.
I like retiring numbers.
I don't not in college, and I love what they were doing with number 1. You didn't really see that anywhere else. I loved it. I loved it when you saw a guy wearing number 1, you knew he was the top-notch receiver on Michigan. So that means he's one of the top-notch receivers in the country.
And
when
he's
that guy's
make
wearing
a play
number
on
1,
you because he's already made plays on you.
Exactly, because he's proven it and he earned it. He earned that number. I would love to see him do the same thing with number 2. I feel like that honoring it more than even retiring it, because it's still out there on the field and it's being worn by somebody who's earned it and who's one of the top players in the country. To me, that's honoring the number way more than even retiring.
I couldn't honestly. I'm so in lockstep with you. I couldn't believe when it got given away. Man, like
it started with Rich Rod.
Yeah, and that's what started him getting fired, man.
You're like, what the hell? You're not even recognizing the history of this program? I mean, do you know anything about this program?
It's embarrassing, man. But not as embarrassing as calling Charles Rogers Charles Woodson. Or vice versa. I don't even know at this point, man. I don't even know. I'm just ready for football. I'm ready
just to see.
You know what?
it.
I don't even give a damn who's wearing what number. I just want to see somebody smack some heads. And I want to see some football, man. I want to see Michigan play Florida. I don't care who Florida has to bring, man. And we have not brought up that shark thing yet, man. Oh. Speaking of Florida, speaking of who is going to show up, because he might have to find that shark and bring him to play left tackle at this point, man. After by Saturday, man.
See if Tim Tebow's got any eligibility left.
Oh man.
You might want to explain a little bit to people that haven't seen it.
Oh, the shark thing. Do we know how much do we know about the shark thing? Earlier this summer, Jim McElwain, there was a picture of like somebody like took a big old shark on a boat. And they were kind of like humping the shark. It was a very weird
naked,
picture.
wasn't he?
Pretty much. Yeah, I think it was naked. It looked just like it. But Jim McElwain says he was not there, and I guess he has a good alibi. But it's never been like 100% scientifically proven that it's not him. But it's a
lot funnier to think that it is him.
The big joke is that there's going to be a lot of shark situations going on pregame before the big game this Saturday. And it'll be some funny stuff, man. And guys, if you're not understanding what we're talking about, just Google Jim McElwain shark.
Yeah, it'll be the first thing that pops up. I'm sure.
Google will take care of you right away. It is some funny stuff, man, and all the stuff that comes with it is going to be super funny. It'll be a little thing. It'll be a thing on, especially on game day, stuff like that. Like I'm saying, game day on the 4-letter network. It's going to be funny stuff. There's a lot of stuff to look up. Just spend 10 minutes looking up Jim McElwain shark and have some fun. And as you like to say, then you'll end up down the rabbit hole, man. You'll think 10 minutes went by and 2 days of your life is gone because you're just stuck in the internet.
That's why I got rid of all
of a sudden you're looking at JFK conspiracies. Like, how did I get here?
That's why I got rid of social media until recently.
Dude, it's so great, though, man. I mean, there's so many things. But this one's a good one. This one's a good one, guys, so check it out. But, all right, man, I don't even know where we're at. What are we doing? We're still talking about Michigan. Are we done? Are we just going to win? Is Michigan just going to win? I think so. We got some quick hits coming up, guys. We brought up quick hits before, and we got them coming again. And we're going to lead in, though, with something that you guys know all about, because it was one of the most exciting things of this season for a Detroit Tiger fan, because Miggy squared up, and it was awesome. And then a whole bunch of other stuff happened after that. So we're going to lead it in this clip.
That's my kind of baseball right there.
Yeah.
It's my kind of baseball.
That's what I'm saying, man. Not even the pitcher, not to just looking at the catcher, saying something and going just laying down, man, just laying it out. They were like, "No, we're squaring up, man." I think Miggy was a little jacked up about the big fight that was on Saturday that we're going to talk about in quick hits too. Maybe there was a lot of fighting in the air, man, and it was honestly like I said, Joe, it was fun to watch. Let's listen to this, man. Let's check this out.
Go get him, Tiger.
Wait a minute, here we go. Oh, here we go at home. Romine and Cabrera get into it. Punches thrown, Romine getting into the gut of Cabrera. And now both benches are cleared as Romine and Cabrera at the bottom of a pile. And both teams storming for them at home plate. Clint Frazier is holding back Gary Sanchez trying to get in on it. And Cabrera's still down.
This is not your ordinary business. There was some severe punching in there. Usually it's a lot of pushing and shoving, but they got some good shots there.
Just as we were talking about how it was Cabrera who instructed and applauded Fulmer for retaliating, hitting Ellsbury at Yankee Stadium, he's the one who canely threw out here, and he and Romine got into it and fired off quite a few punches at each other before both benches cleared entirely.
I don't know if this umpiring crew was aware of what happened in New York, but I think Joe Girardi was very correct when he said, why did you throw out warnings after Sanchez was hit? None of this would have happened.
First of all, when they throw at me, it was okay. I got good. They want to defend Gary Sanchez, so I was cool with that. So when they started arguing with umpire, I said to Roman, come down.
Gary Sanchez across the line when he punched you when you're on the ground?
I mean, I don't care if he punched me down.
Ooh, and Dylan Betances just nailed James McCann in the helmet. And both benches are going to clear. Dylan Betances is saying, I did not do that intentionally. You see Betances yelling at him. He said, I'm not trying to hit that guy. I'm not trying to hit that guy. But obviously, given the context of this game.
Well, Gary Sanchez said, come on out here if you want it. He's trying to protect his pitcher. Now, Carlos Torres, the home plate umpire, didn't react right away. He didn't throw him out. So we'll see what goes on from this point on.
Now, Victor Martinez is trying to get over to Dylan Betances and discuss it with him. That is scary.
Yeah, it is.
That hard in the head.
I can tell you that we were not trying to hit Sanchez on purpose. I understand the protecting your teammates. I understand exactly what happened. But at that point, warning's been handed out. We kind of felt like it was over. And do I think that Betances hit me on purpose? No, I don't. Do I think that Robertson hit Hicks on purpose? No, I don't. But the fact of the matter is when warnings are given out, they're given out. You can't hit somebody. I mean, if it's a backup breaking ball, it's a different story. I mean, getting hit in the head, first off it's scary. And then when the warning's been given out, I know as a catcher I've got to be careful going inside on guys because I don't want my pitcher getting thrown out and have the umpire say, "Oh, that ball slipped." It doesn't matter if it slipped. It hit me in the head.
We're all behind our baseball team. Go get 'em. Detroit Tigers. Go get 'em, Tigers.
That's some good audio from a very interesting situation in a very frustrating season for the Detroit Tigers. I think a lot of that frustration boiled over, and it didn't just boil over. Like, it got intense. I mean, that was a top story on the national media. It was the Yankees, it was the Tigers, two stories franchise, and of course with Miggy being future Hall of Famer, one of the biggest stars in the game, squaring up. Turning around, dropping his bat, and squaring up with the catcher. You never see that. You never see anything like that. I was working. The TVs were on, and I was like, luckily for me, it was slow because I stopped and I was like, I pointed at my coworker and I was like, "Hey, you see this? You see what's going on right now?" It reminded me of the day, Dan, that when you came running downstairs. And you said, "Are you watching this Pistons game?
Oh, yeah.
Ron Artest just lost his mind." And the brawl, the malice in the palace broke out, and everything that came from that. It was one of those moments because you never see Vicky just turned and squared up and just threw. Hey man, they did. Unfortunately, they didn't land. Unfortunately, however you look at it, whatever.
Unfortunately,
it says the hockey player.
Exactly.
But yeah, man, hey, it went down, and then it was. I don't know. It was fun to see. I mean, violence. Take it for what it is, but it was something different. And the team showed some kind of life, some kind of fight, some kind of frustration bowler, whatever. It was something to see, though. It was something to see. There's definitely some fallout. There was some a guy got hit in the head with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, man. And Miggy was on the ground, in a headlock, having Gary Sanchez sucker punch him in the face.
He don't care.
Yeah, he
don't care.
It don't hurt him.
Yeah,
he's didn't, man. He's a tough dude. He's a tough dude, Miggy.
Well, Castellanos too. That got sucker punched in the ribs too from Gary Sanchez.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
I think we should embrace it. I think we should embrace it and be like the Charleston Chiefs and start just being dirty, fill up the stands, and go from there, right?
Who's going to get hit in the head tonight?
Yeah, that's my game plan. But I'm a hockey player, so I like that kind of stuff. But I'm just joking. It is frustration. I think it just all boiled over it. They had their mishaps with them the last game, like the announcer said, and it just boiled over. It's frustration. It's a little bit of both, and it happened.
And we talked about it last week with Kinsler and Angel Hernandez. it's just boiling over. Everybody's just so frustrated, and it's been a frustrating season for the players, for the fans, for the coaches, for the whole organization. I think everything just boiled over, and this is this one game. And for the Yankees, though, I mean, they're in a pennant race.
Yeah.
And getting these guys suspended, I mean, that's going to really hurt them. I mean, right now they're in the midst of appeals, but losing Gary Sanchez, one of their better players, for a substantial amount of time, that's where it really hurt them.
Okay, I guess the appeals are still in the works. Miggy 7 games, Sanchez 4 games. Dylan, you got to help me out.
Dylan Patantis.
That's a tough one, man. Dylan Patantis, 98 mile an hour fastball to the head. After everything already went down, no game, nothing, no suspensions. They said that they agreed that it slipped out of a 98 mile an hour fastball.
Yes.
Slipped out of his hand and directly nailed McCann in the head. No suspension.
I'll be honest, man. I know.
And Alex Wilson came out right after the game. He said, "Hell yeah, I hit him." I'm paraphrasing, but hell yeah, I hit him. He gets suspended for 2 games or something like that. Wilson got suspended, and then he said the next day, he's like, "Well, I think he said honesty isn't always the best policy. Maybe I should have."
What do you
said
think? I mean, Patantis came out after the game, and the game had just been tied when he came into the game. I believe it was 6-6 at that point. And like I said, they're in a pennant race. He's one of their best pitchers out of the bullpen. And he said, in that situation, we had just come back. You want to shut down inning. In that situation, I'm not looking to hit a guy. I'm looking to get out of the inning and for us to win this game. At that point, you got to look at the games. Every game the Yankees are playing and is important. And I'm a huge Tiger fan. I'm a huge homer, but I kind of believe him, man. I kind of believe him because in that point in the game, he needed to get in there and get outs. At that point, it should have been settled down. Things should have been settled, and the Yankees should have been at that point looking to get a win. And Patantis should be getting in there, coming in to get outs. And I think he was. And
there's 162 games in a season. I know every game counts. That game was very different game than you're ever going to see. And emotions were high, and the violence level was high. The anger level was high. And did he mean to hit him in the head? I really hope not. I hope a pitcher did not intend to hit a man in the head with a 98 mile an hour fastball. So maybe, I hear you. I'll give him. I don't know. I want to give him the benefit. Here we go. Who gave him the benefit of the doubt? It wasn't the MLB. It was Joe Torre, who is the head of the MLB. He's basically the Roger Goodell, the judge and the jury. The one who doles out the punishment.
What if Wilson said he didn't try to hit him? Do you think he would have been suspended?
Exactly. So
he wouldn't. Have
he probably, and he shouldn't have. Wilson got suspended because he said he did it. Mm-hmm. Because how can you say that Wilson didn't intend to? If
Patantis,
you got it. Patantis. If Patantis says he didn't mean to, and they say, okay, yeah, well, we have to believe it. We can't prove that you did. And if Alex Wilson goes the same route and says, nah, I didn't mean to hit him. I had no reason to try to hit him. It slipped. You wouldn't be able to suspend one and not the other. How could you? Wilson came out right after the game in the heat of the battle, and
I don't know. With everything that was going on, I don't think it really matters if you meant to or not. You know what I'm saying?
And that frustrates me.
Well, he got thrown out of the game.
Oh, he did get thrown out of the game?
Yeah, well, at first he wasn't going to get thrown out of the game. And then the umpires came together and decided that, okay, we are going to throw you out of the game because the warnings were already dished out.
I didn't realize he got thrown out of the game.
My point, what makes me mad about this, the Alex Wilson part is you shove these microphones in the faces of these players in the heat of the moment right after this, and then you penalize the man for the truth that comes out of his mouth.
Yeah, but he said he threw at him. He said he threw him on purpose. Betances said he didn't. You can't prove that Betances actually threw at him on purpose. You can't prove it.
I don't think it matters, though, does it? It's all with all that going on. And
if a microphone wasn't put in his face, I bet 5 hours after the game, if Alex Wilson hadn't talked yet, he would not say, "Yeah, I threw at him." That's a tough argument.
How do you prove intent? It's one of the most difficult things to prove. But if the guy actually says he came out and did it,
so I'm saying maybe
right
not
there.
shove a microphone in his face 5 minutes after the fact. Give him 5 hours to cool off before he gets himself suspended for 2 games.
Well, you could say that about anything. I mean, any game.
Richard, my favorite interview of all time is the Richard Sherman, Aaron Andrews, NFC Championship, Crabtree. That's the greatest post game interview of all time. But people got a bad perception from Richard Sherman because of the way the most high impact, high intensity moment of his life, and you put a microphone in his face, you're gonna get emotion, and that's what Alex Wilson, just by saying what he said, just by off pure emotion and pure energy and everybody was jacked up at that game.
Yeah,
it was a brawl 3 times. And right after the game, he gets asked, and he said, "Yeah, he tells the truth."
Okay,
and now
he said the truth. The
truth
is that he threw at the guy on purpose. He has to get suspended. There's no proof that Betances threw at him.
So there's no proof. The only proof is saying it.
Pretty much.
Well, yeah,
that's the unfortunate.
I don't agree with that.
But how do you prove intent? How do you know that Betances actually threw at him?
Why do you have to have?
Everybody was warned. There was a brawl. The benches cleared 3 times. A guy got hit in the head. You should be suspended. That was whether you did it on accident or not.
Exactly,
you're a pitcher. You're a major league pitcher. You have control of where the ball goes. You hit the guy in the freaking head.
But how do you prove it? How do you prove it? I can give you a situation. I'm giving you a situation where Betances he came out and said, "Look at the situation that I was in. I'm trying to win a baseball game. I'm trying to get out. We had just tied the game. I'm coming in to try to get a shutdown inning after we just had a big comeback. Things have started to settle down a little bit. I'm one of the best relievers on the team. I'm coming in to get outs. We're in a pennant race." I can agree. I can see his side of things. I can see
the other side where he was pissed off and he went to show that he was out there to prove a message too, and he hit a guy in the head at 98 miles an hour.
Yeah, I agree. He did it on purpose.
Those benches cleared 3 times, man.
You can't prove intent, but it doesn't matter. They were already warned that you got to be careful. They're professional athletes. You know, you can't be throwing a high fastball.
If anything is near the head or anybody gets hit, you're automatically gone, and now you're fined and suspended just like everybody else. But because that's what I'm saying. The comment, it was. And he even, like I said, Alex Wilson said it himself. He's like, I should not have said that, you know. And he did.
Of course.
But it's so... Something ain't right about this. Something ain't right about because Alex Wilson said, yeah, he did. And he didn't even hit the guy in the head. Would he get it in the ribs or wherever it was? It wasn't a 98-mile fastball to the head. And whether he meant to do it or not, in that situation... Now, if it was a 2-2 ball game...
Nothing happened.
And there was no fights and nobody... There was just an average day. And he threw it at the head and he said, look, I did not mean to do that. I would give him all the benefit of the doubt all day long. In that game, in that situation, at that moment in time, he does not get the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though it was a tie game, it was a 6-6 game at that point.
I don't think that matters.
That was more.
I don't think
that was
anybody
more
cared
of a backyard brawl than it was a baseball game. That game, it was. It was different. It was different than anything you've seen in a long time, and that's why. And I wonder if it was somebody different than Joe Torre, who is a beloved Yankee great. If it was a different team, a different situation, a different person doling out the punishment, would things be different? Would the suspensions be different? And I bet they would.
I don't know if it's about that, but I agree with you with your other point. No matter what. Because of the situation, he should have been suspended. I mean, it doesn't matter if he tried to or not, that he says he tried to or not. He hit the guy in the head after all that went down, you should be suspended. Plain and simple.
I know I'm taking an opinion that it's against the grain, obviously, especially on a Detroit Sports podcast. But I think about it if the situation was on the other foot and the Tigers were in a pennant race against a team that wasn't in a pennant race, and one of our top pitchers went in there, and they just come back, tied the game after being down 3, it was 6-6 game, you have your best reliever out there, and he throws it now a fastball and he hits a guy.
I would have to. I'm sorry.
I would hope that he wouldn't get suspended.
You can't. I mean, yeah, you can, but you can't. You can't flip it like that. Like,
why can't I flip it like that? I mean, it's so much easier to say it as a Tiger fan.
But it's not. I would say that our pitcher should be out of the game. That's what I'm saying.
Out of the game. Should he be suspended too? Should he be suspended?
Yeah. Anybody who it was. Yeah. If it was Justin freaking Verlander, and it was the playoffs. If it was Game 7 of the World Series and that same scenario went down and it was a Tiger pitcher, I would say that Tiger pitcher should be suspended.
I'll agree.
Absolutely.
After all that stuff that happened,
yeah,
in the game,
yeah. If it was that exact scenario led up to all that in that exact moment, whoever that pitcher was, yes. Suspended.
I would even say a hockey player should, because it'd probably be a cheap shot.
Well, yeah. I mean,
that's a cheap shot of a fastball to the head. It's one thing to hit somebody, it's another thing to hit him in the head.
That's what I'm saying. I think if he wanted to hit him, he wouldn't have hit him in the head. I would like to think
but
he's a halfway decent person.
I don't think so. I don't know. I saw
that makes me think even more than
a
slip that he hit him in the head.
On his face.
How do you accidentally hit somebody in the head with a 98 mile?
It happens, man. It happens in baseball. I mean, Matuk got hit twice in the head.
He had a smirk on his face though too.
And it's a dirty Yankee.
I watch the replay again. I watched it a million times. You saw me record all that. He had a smirk on his face.
I'll say
that this is.
I'm more mad at Gary Sanchez. I think
his
cheap shots, man, that was ridiculous. Running in there, getting cheap shots to the ribs, running back out. I mean,
you're right. I mean, and those are just as dangerous as the fastball to the head if he lands the shot right. Man, you're jumping in a pile. Now, you guys ever been in a brawl? I was in a pretty nice brawl on a soccer field, man, a high school soccer game that just the brawl, like teams from or fans from both sides jumped out of the field and were fighting. This is like a 30 person brawl. Clausen versus Bishop Foley, and in a soccer game, man, it was wild. And I had to start walking away at first because I had already been in some issues from a previous game. So I was trying to walk away, and some dude just grabs me and just sucker punches me right in the nose. My nose immediately starts bleeding. And I turned into the Ultimate Warrior, man, when I saw that. And I just jumped in and started going, man. So but I didn't sucker punch nobody, but I got sucker punched. And getting sucker punches, that sucks, man.
That's a wuss move.
And yeah, anybody who sucker punches somebody, they're the sucker, and usually the karma comes back on them. And Gary Sanchez, he's getting his 4 games, so it's probably going to appeal down to 3 or whatever. But that stigma of being a punk, of being a sucker puncher, of being a cheap shot, that sticks with you, man. This guy's only 24 years old. He's younger guy in the league. He's got his whole career ahead of him, and that clip's going to be going over and over and over for the rest of his life of him just going in there and sucker punching. So I'm not even as mad about. I'm not nearly as mad about that because I know this guy's getting his, and he got suspended like 4 games, and that stigma is going to be with him. He's getting his. Dylan Betances. He didn't get nothing, man.
After McCain got hit, Sanchez was out standing in front of Betances and, trying to get people to come in at him, acting like he's all cool, like he's a big, tough guy. I don't know. I don't like that guy now.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
He's villain number 1, I think, in Detroit at this point. I mean, especially if Detroit were in it.
Oh, yeah,
really? You've really been villain number 1.
Is Gary Sanchez the new Claude Lemieux?
They're gonna have to play some more playoff series and some big games. But, he's young enough. It could happen.
Oh man.
Yeah, that is a wuss move for sure. Yeah.
Who else do we hate, man? Sidney Crosby, Reggie Miller,
Aaron Rodgers,
Ron Artest. Speaking of the brawl, the Mouse Palace.
For sure, him.
Steven Jackson.
There's a lot of real heated rivalries right now.
Because we all
suck.
We got that rivalry with the Yankees, and we got their number, man. The last 2 times we played them in the playoffs, we got them, man. Yeah. So we got them, and but.
What about Martinez and Verlander getting it in?
Getting
into it a little bit.
That's
in the dugout.
That was something, wasn't it? That was something. That was a team in disarray. Does that have anything to do with Brad Ausmus not having control of his stars? Do you think there's some issues there? There's trade rumors with Verlander. Like he could be gone at any second. Probably not, but theoretically it's possible. Victor, those are two huge egos. Dan, what do you think was going on there?
Well, it sounded like some of the rumors that were going around was that Verlander was pissed that Victor was kind of just standing around when Sanchez was in there giving sucker punches to Castellanos. And that was kind of the argument going back and forth in the dugout. And Victor, that's why you saw Victor kind of pointing out on the field, and I think he was kind of saying, I don't know what his argument was, but obviously he was trying to defend himself in terms of the situation, and things got pretty heated.
Like Verlander tried to walk away, and it looked like Victor kind of came at him, and then it was actually Nick Castellanos that jumped in the middle.
Just everybody's tempers are high, Like you said, the season, just a long season. We suck. Just everything. Gets to them as players, too, against each other. And I kind of see the point of Martinez because when there's big hockey fights, sometimes people will sit there and talk. And as long as you take a guy, you're good. Like, that's kind of how we look at it. I could take a guy from our team, but, I got my guy, I'm talking to him. So I kind of see Victor Martinez was doing that.
So you kind of slide over, hey, do you want to fight? And,
basically.
I don't got no health insurance. Man.
Exactly.
Why don't we just stand here and chill for a minute?
Because you might not be in a bad, you might not want to fight the guy.
Yeah.
Not just because he's big or anything. You just might not be mad. It might not even involve you. But as long as you're out there, you kind of take your guy. You're like, hey, this guy's not going to get in here. I got him. I'll just, have a conversation with him.
So you don't get a 2-on-1 type situation.
Yeah. And I kind of saw Martinez do that. It's kind of just talking to people. It's not, really getting into it. And I don't know if that's why Verlander got mad.
And I didn't really see where exactly Verlander was.
I'm not sure where
in
Verlander
the middle of the brawl
in the situation.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, I really don't know.
I didn't get a good angle of where he was.
I was trying to look at everybody. It was just chaos, mass chaos.
Now, I wonder if these with the Victory's back on the DL. Now, I wonder this heart thing could it be stress related? I'm not a doctor. I'm not about to start speculating on health issues, but I mean,
you've been in school long enough. You're not a doctor. I'm just joking.
No, I'm not. But,
I thought you were. My bad.
Well, no. But listen, man, Victor, should he retire, man? Is this it? Now he's still due $18 million.
He's got 1 year left, $18 million next year.
With heart conditions, I think he probably
starting to get scary, man. When you start playing with
he's getting up. How old is he? 38.
30. Yeah,
I think he's entering 40.
Is he? Yeah.
He's getting up. Yeah, it's close.
He's got to retire. I mean, with heart, especially twice this year already, having heart conditions and going on a DL.
At this point, with Victor Martinez, what is he coming back for? Mm-hmm. It would be strictly, to me, it'd be strictly the money. I mean, yeah, maybe he's prideful. He wants to come back. He wants to finish strong. But come on, man. It's so obvious he has absolutely nothing left. I mean, he's got nothing left in those knees. He can barely walk to first base, let alone run. He can't play any defensive positions. He's killing this franchise with another year of $18 million, and this team's rebuilding. I mean, what is he coming back for? I mean, just hang him up, dude. I mean,
$18 million.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
Dude, I would crawl to Comerica Park every day for $18 million, man. And I mean, Victor, yeah, obviously he's made a ton of money, but who knows, man? Maybe he's made some bad business ventures. had some money grubbing hanger-ons that made some bad decisions for him. Who knows?
Yeah,
I don't know. You don't know, man. And also these guys, man. A lot of these guys, like, it's the love of the game, man. Like you don't ever it's a drug, man. You walk out there every day to that crowd, like you do it until you can't do it anymore.
I feel like he's at that point. I really do, man. You go on the DL twice for a regular heartbeat. You got heart issues, man. That's getting scary, and I mean, the guy can't freaking run anymore.
It's hurtful to see because I always have. I'm a huge Victor.
He's one of my favorites.
The guy he was always. Men on base, scoring situation, tie game, like Victor comes up, he always gets it done, dude. He hits that 2-run double down the line, dude. Like he was always good for that hit. Like he was so clutch, and but that's life, that's sports, and that's how it goes, man. Your heroes, they fade away, man, and
it's father time, man. It comes up on you.
So it is. It probably is. Now, should Victor and Verlander be getting in fights in the dugout? No, probably not. But at this point, like who cares? Who cares who's fighting, man? Because who's even going to be? There's a good chance that neither of them will be here next year. Half that dugout could be gone next year, man. We really don't know. Upton could opt out. Who knows what's going to happen with Kinsler? Verlander's like probably going to get traded. Like, didn't Avila basically say that Verlander when he said there's going to be a much better chance to get a deal done in the winter because people are going to move money around and blah blah blah. It pretty much sounded like Verlander's fate is sealed that he's not going to be here next year. And Victor, like you said, like he's probably going to hang him up, man. He's probably going to have to. This whole team is. It's frustrating because we got to the top of the mountain and didn't and now we're tumbling back down.
And you knew that tumble was coming. You knew it. You knew it with the contracts. You knew it.
Yeah, paying for what people did, like you said earlier.
We talked about earlier. Let's bring it back. Full circle. But paying for what guys did in the past instead of paying for what guys are going to be doing in the future. I mean, they're going to be paying Victor Martinez $18 million a year next year, and the guy can't even walk. You'll be. I mean, seriously. You're to be paying Miguel Cabrera close to $30 million. Who knows? He's constantly going to be in and out of the lineup. You're going to be paying Verlander. Verlander's still showing signs that he's kind of got that Cy Young caliber. He's been pitching great lately, but he's going to start falling off a cliff a little bit here soon. And even if you look at the full year, he hasn't had a great year. He's been great recently, but for the full year, he hasn't been that great. And you got another 2 years of him if you don't trade him. You got another year of Kinsler. Kinsler's falling off. I mean, all these guys are just getting older, and you're still paying them a ton of money
for what they did in the past.
In the past.
Yep, it's hard to see, man.
And they just didn't. But it would have all been worth it. All been worth it if we had that World Series. They just never got it. They never got it.
Close, but never got it.
Let's move on to something a little more. I don't know if I'm not even happy. But speaking of fights, speaking of brawls, there was a big fight that happened in Vegas this past Saturday, and I knew what was going to happen, I guess, but I guess I'm a little disappointed about what did happen. And I want to ask you guys, are you happy that Mayweather won? Do you celebrate 50-0? Do you celebrate Floyd Mayweather and his boxing greatness?
I don't, but I'm not a big boxing fan, so I don't.
Did you watch the fight?
I did watch the fight.
Did you go to?
I went to a party, watched it. I had a good time. I thought it was an okay fight. Kind of like we said, we all kind of knew what was going to happen. I thought McGregor had his one chance to win with that uppercut. If it could have connected, that was his one chance to win. But everybody knew Mayweather was going to win, and basically that's what happened. He just
not everybody. There was a lot of money in Vegas that was put on McGregor for the sheer odds of it. And the fact that half of Ireland came over and bet on McGregor too in Vegas. Oh man! So I mean, all right. So and the skeptical of it, like, it was fun, man. It was built up. It was talked about for years. But now, Dan, I'm going to ask you, now that it's over, now you saw the result, it's over. How do you feel about it? Did it live up to the hype?
I thought it did. Because a lot of the talk was, this is going to be just another Mayweather 12-round decision, boring. He's going to jab and run. And it wasn't that at all. You know, he came out the first 3 rounds, McGregor won. And that was a big shock to me. I didn't expect that at all. You look at Max Kellerman, you know, a big boxing expert. He said he didn't think McGregor was even going to get one shot on him. Not one shot. He ended up getting 111 punches on him. 111 punches landed on Floyd Mayweather.
But how many good ones?
There was a few good ones, but I mean, he won the first 3 rounds. I mean, that was really impressive. I know. Okay, but that's not what the talk was going in.
Oh, that's true. You're
the
right.
talk was that Mayweather was going to win every single round. This was going to be a blowout. He was going to totally outclass McGregor. And that's not what happened at all. I thought McGregor made a great showing for himself. And to be honest with we talked about, do we even want to talk about this fight? And there's really not that much to come out of this to talk about. And the fact of the matter is, I think kind of everybody won out of this. I thought the fans got a good fight. I thought it was worth the money if you didn't pay $100 yourself, if you had other people come over and chip in, which I did. I thought it was a fun night. It was a fun night of fights. And I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did. And like I said, I think everybody came out of there winning. You know, Mayweather got his 50-0. McGregor, I thought his name didn't diminish out of this fight. If anything, it's grown. I think a lot of people have grown respect for him. People that didn't know who he was before know who he is now. And I think he can go right back to MMA, and he's got the same star value, if not even bigger now. And obviously, they both made a crap ton of money. So to me, everybody won in this situation.
Do you think that they called it too early, or
no? I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think
not for boxing. If it was
not for
MMA,
boxing, MMA for sure, but not for boxing. He was done. He was done. He didn't have anything left.
He was tired, and he didn't get knocked out per se, but he
wasn't given anything.
It was really quickly to that he was not. You could tell he was
hitting
at the point where he couldn't defend himself 100%.
But that's how he was.
McGregor even said, he's like, let the man take me to the floor. So, mate, do you want to see? Yeah, and us bloodthirsty guys, I want to see blood. I want to see people get rocked in the face. And you see the super slow motion. What's the most popular picture that's out there of the fight? It's the one where Floyd's punching him in the side of the face, and you got snot coming out of McGregor's nose, man. Literally knocking the snot out of him. 50 Cent put that up. 50 Cent's got 50 million followers on his social media, and he made a joke about that. But it was a good fight. It was entertaining, and McGregor came out and he fought a fight it was fun. It was fun to watch, and
that's what I
boxing,
wanted.
man. How many of those do you get a year? I enjoy boxing to a very low extent, But I get hyped up for a good fight.
Yeah, big fights. I do get all hyped up.
And who doesn't, man? Obviously, people were clamoring for this, man. How 50 million pay-per-view sales
they're talking 6.5 million pay-per-view buys, which would almost double Mayweather-Pacquiao.
Wow.
I mean, just completely shatter any pay-per-view records there have ever been. That's something that Dana White kind of floated out. It's not official or anything yet.
That was 6 million?
6.5 million buys at 100 million a pop. Yeah. And it's
a couple
incredible.
bucks.
Yeah, it's incredible money. But you got to think 6.5 million, that's pay-per-view buys.
Yeah.
So that includes bars and restaurants that are streaming it through. That includes, time we watched it together. Watched it together. There was probably about 8 to 10 people over at my house.
They're estimating that 3 million people watched it, streaming it online.
Illegally.
Well, another issue too is that UFC TV was streaming it, and they're service crashed.
Yeah.
And also
it delayed the fight. People were freaking out, man. They're like, are we not going to get to watch this fight? Like, people were losing their minds,
Dick Vitale, Dickie V, man, he was all over Twitter. He was all distraught that he couldn't watch the fight.
What's happening? You got to be kidding me, baby. I got to see a fight. He was upset, man. Oh, people were freaking out. But they delayed it.
But they couldn't handle the demand. The
People
demand's more
see
than
it, man.
there's ever been for a pay-per-view event.
What does that say about, look, man, society, man. Society is crazy,
characters.
man.
We love characters.
But in these, and you said it last week when we talked about the fight, the preview, like, Floyd, he's got documented ugly stuff in his past, man. Like, ugly domestic violence situations, man, where his kids are writing police reports, dude. Like, that shit, that stuff's all online, man. Like, you can look that up. It's terrible. And this, but at the same time, we're celebrating him. We're celebrating his athletic achievements, and I don't know how I feel about it because I watched the fight. I was excited to watch the fight, and I was entertained.
But what brought you to the table, Tom? It was McGregor.
No. You
knew McGregor.
Dude, because I was all excited about Floyd Pacquiao. That was a huge fight. I was all excited. It was talked about for years. It did not live up anything close to the hype. It was a terribly boring, awful fight. But the lead up to it, I was excited for that. Tyson, like when Tyson was fighting Holyfield, I was a big fan of Sugar Shane Mosley, man. I think I was awesome. Tommy Hearn and Marvin Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard. I know these guys. I know these fighters, and I enjoyed those fights. Now, those guys are, like when you get into Tommy Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonard, those guys are a little back in the day. But even Muhammad Ali, like, I'll go on YouTube or you watch the documentaries or the movies about Muhammad Ali, man. Like, right in our hometown, Joe Louis. Joe Louis is still a celebrated hero in Detroit, let alone America. And he's one of the great. Rocky Marciano, like, there's such a history in boxing. So it wasn't McGregor that brought me to watching a big boxing fight. But I am a McGregor fan. So if McGregor's fighting, whether it's the UFC, or the boxing ring, I'm going to watch it. But I'm going to also watch the next huge boxing match. But it's probably one a year that I'll watch. I'm not getting all involved in learning who the up and coming fighters are and seeing who's up challenging next. I'm not getting in and all that like I would for the NFL or.
Yeah, I'm the same way. If there's a big fight, I'll watch it. I'll get excited about it. But other than that, I don't really care. I'll watch the UFC every now and again. Did you watch when he fought Diaz? It kind of went the same way. Came out real strong, and then same thing. He loses, McGregor loses his energy right away. So it was kind of almost just like how he fights in the UFC.
The first fight with Diaz, he lost that same way. But then the second fight, he started to get that dip again. He actually talked about it in the post-fight coverage. He can't understand it, but he just has this gigantic dip in energy and conditioning. But he gets a second win, and that's why he was kind of disappointed so much that it got stopped, because he's like, I wasn't hurt. He's like, not like it got stopped because I was hurt. It got stopped because I was exhausted. But I was just like, if I could have just gotten through the end of that round, just survived the end of that round, I could have bounced back and got my second win for those last two rounds. And he does have a point, because he did do that in the second Diaz fight, where he got through the third round, where he was kind of getting beat up a little bit, and he hit that dip, but then he came out for the fourth, and especially the fifth. The fifth is where he actually won the fight. He took that last round. But he was able to get through that dip, and he's got to figure that out going forward,
for sure.
Whether he continues to box or if hopefully he goes back to the UFC.
I can't see him boxing another boxing match, man. Because there was a part of me that was like, this is just a spectacle. He didn't look like a boxer. Like, didn't he? Like, he kind of looked like an old timey. One of those, like a 1930s, like sit out there like an old Irish, just crazy.
But that's what kind of made it fun, though.
Like, oh yeah, like, you know? Like, do you think he maybe even did that on purpose? Like, he kind of reminded me of like the Fighting Irish guy.
It's just kind of his style. That's more of his stance that he uses in MMA.
And he kept doing the
hammer fist.
The hammer fist to the back of the head. It's like, Conor, you can't do that. You're not in the octagon. Like,
well, the other thing too
kept yelling at him, man.
Well, the other thing too that was interesting was that with Floyd kept turning his back. To McGregor.
I think he was trying to almost goad him into making him go, like, go ahead, get me in a
rear naked choke. Because that's the thing in MMA. That's the number one thing you do not do in MMA is give up your back. I mean, that is like cardinal sin right there, to give up your back, because you're either going to get drilled or you're going to get in a rear naked choke and choked out. I mean, it's one of the two. So when he kept giving his back, I think McGregor's like, I can't do anything. He's like, he's probably thinking of so many things that he could do right now to finish the fight, and he's thinking, I can't do anything. I can't do anything right now.
See it in his eyes sometimes, where he he would kind of like his shoulders would kind of go in, where he's getting ready for a move, and like real quick he catches himself. He's like, nope, gotta punch. Like,
you knew he wanted to throw a kick so bad too. He wanted to throw a kick so bad because that's his whole offense.
And that's don't you wish that you could see it, like, and how much would America love to see Floyd Mayweather get in the octagon with McGregor? Like, all right, well, here's the rematch, you know. And even if McGregor was like, you know what, you can still have $300 million. I'll just take whatever's left, but you get in the octagon with me, and it's MMA rules, buddy.
I would think it'd be just as big. I mean, it really would.
Oh, the fight would be just as big, but it wouldn't last as long.
God no. Mayweather's not lasting more than
45 seconds?
Yeah. I think the over-under would be about a minute.
Yeah.
Mayweather's getting a kick to the head, and that's it.
Yeah. Or choked out if he goes backwards.
If he goes down, if he goes down after getting hit,
backwards.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, if he turns his back, yeah, absolutely.
Choked out.
But now but here though, think about this though. You get I'm already talking myself out of my own thing, because it already sounds stupid in my head. But if you give Floyd a year to train with the best, and he's got all the, he can buy the best trainers money can buy. Give him a year to learn how to fight in the octagon. He's already got the stamina. He's got the skill. He's got the punching. He's got the fighter's mentality. Teach him some jiu-jitsu and some wrestling moves and stuff.
Well, he's not going to be able to learn wrestling and jiu-jitsu in a year to match these guys. But McGregor's not necessarily, he's not a ground fighter. I mean, he's a stand-up fighter. He's more of a kickboxer.
Yeah.
So if you gave Mayweather, we talked about in the last episode, I think a kickboxing fight would be fun. I really do. I think that would be more interesting than a regular MMA fight. I think that would be real fun to watch. I think is more conducive to both men's skills. And like you said, especially if you gave Mayweather a year to kind of train in the kickboxing realm, I think you could really see a competitive fight in that sport.
Even with Mayweather's age, though, 40.
Yeah, you start in 40.
But he did. Obviously, he way out endurance, if that's even a word, a 29-year-old Conor McGregor, who's probably one of the most fit people in the world right now. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't look like he was 40. Floyd Mayweather looked like he could fight again.
Yeah.
Well,
he did look like he lost a step or two.
Yeah, they said he lost a lot of step or two.
He definitely.
I mean, maybe, but man, I don't know, man. I don't know. He looked pretty damn good. He knew how, like, he had a plan. He executed that plan. And then, now he changed his style up. Yeah, but he did.
He said he was going to do that.
He said he was going to give the fans a show. And for him, like, he was going, like, if this is his last rodeo, if this is going, like, going out party or whatever, he wanted to give him a show, and he did. I mean, he stood back those first 3 rounds, man. McGregor won those first 3 rounds. McGregor was the aggressor, but that's what Floyd said. He's like, that was our plan. That was our plan all along. And then I knew I'd have the endurance, and that was the thing too. I took over, and that's what happened.
They talked about it on the broadcast. The broadcasters were saying it is McGregor's never gone past 25 minutes. That's as long as an MMA fight. And it's like, soon as that 25 minutes hit, it was like boom, he hit a wall. Just all of a sudden, just boom, that wall was hit, and he couldn't recover, man. And that was Mayweather's plan. He knew that. He knew he hasn't fought that long, hasn't fought past 25 minutes, and he let McGregor wear out.
Yeah. Even his dad said that in the corner before. He goes, Angie actually caught it. He said, after the 4th round, he's yours. And that was right before the fight started. Yeah. His dad said that to him. Yeah. And I didn't catch that. That's when
he said, because, I think they both said they were going to knock each other out in the 4th round or whatever. But it was a big thing for McGregor.
McGregor said two rounds.
And Floyd started talking trash to him. And I had heard that, he did multiple interviews. Floyd did. Well, both of them did. But he said that's one of the things. Like, I started telling him, like, you said you were going to knock me out. It's the 5th round now. What are you doing? You getting tired? He started getting in his head a little bit. And I don't. You're not getting in Conor McGregor's head. I don't think.
No, I think that's pretty proven at this point, man.
But I mean, it's still something. It's something that Floyd was probably had maybe a type of mental advantage because both of them knew what was about to happen. One was going to be conditioned to go the next 7 rounds, while one is probably about to hit the wall. And I think around the 5th, 6th round, they both knew that.
Yeah, and it was real close fight at that point. I mean, I think going into the 10th, I shouldn't say that because the judges had some of those scores were way out. But if you
boxing showed us ugly face again, man. Like. Come on, man!
One judge had 2 out of the first 3 rounds for Mayweather. Yeah, how could you watch that and give 2 of the first 3 rounds?
It's impossible. It's impossible to be on the up and up and give
2 of the first 3 rounds. He didn't throw any punches. No. I think he threw like 12 punches combined in the first 3 rounds. I mean, how could you possibly?
Was like shocking America at that point. Like, whoa, this dude actually can box. Oh, whoa, that's a nice right. Floyd might be in trouble.
I remember after the first 3 rounds, I'm like, guys, McGregor's up 3-0.
Yeah,
this is happening right now. But like we said, man, that was.
But these boxing, that's
frustrating.
A big reason why boxing is so crazy, man. Like you could. Floyd Mayweather, it was a story. Like he went up to a sports book in Vegas and tried to bet on himself. I think the sports book wouldn't take it. It was kind of confusing. But Floyd Mayweather literally is just out there saying I'm putting $5 million on myself. Like it's okay. like it's just all good. And that's the thing about boxing is because there's no. It's like the Wild West, man. Like.
Yeah, you can do what you want.
And there's no there's one belt here. There's 6 different belts for every weight class because there's different.
That's
there's different federations.
That really killed boxing.
It's like boxing is I don't even know how to explain it, but it's just all convoluted, man. Like there's
nothing concrete about it.
Yeah, it's not like the NFL where there's different teams.
Well, even MMA, like Dana White said he would never do it where you have. All these different weight classes. He's added some, but he said he would never get to the point where you have so many weight classes that you don't know who the champions are.
Yeah, and UFC is even with multiple. It's not even just multiple weight classes. It's that one weight class. There's 4 different champions.
Yeah.
What is it like? I don't even know all of them, dude. I just start making up like
WBO,
IBF, blah, blah, WBC, CBS, ABC, NBC. I think each one of those has a heavyweight champion right now. People need structure, man. Yeah, exactly. We are not as smart as we used to be, maybe. I don't know, as people, but we need, because back in the day, I remember that the champion, there was one guy, and he was the champion. He was heavyweight. It was the main stuff. There was heavyweight, middleweight, lightweight. There was it's like a video game, man. Remember the old video game?
Mike Tyson Punch
Out? No. Sorry, the hockey game, man, where
Blades of Steel.
Not even that one. But you could be the fat guy, the middle guy.
Yeah.
You bounce around. If you're the fat guy, you can knock everybody over.
I forget. I know what
like
game we're talking about.
94,
NHL,
right? NHL 94.
I think it was NHL. It might, yeah.
I think it was 94.
Maybe even older than that because I feel like it was
No,
a
I don't think it was an
Nintendo.
NHL game. It was a Nintendo game. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, God.
It wasn't Blade to Steel, but it was after Blade to Steel.
Yeah.
I think,
It was either before it.
I can't remember. But it was a great game.
You know, yeah. But you could be, the fat guy, the middle guy, and the skinny guy. And that's what boxing was. And now, like, there's just, you don't even know who these guys are. But it's whatever.
I don't know. I haven't.
I'm still.
It's the first time
boxing.
I've bought a boxing fight, and I was happy with it, man. I enjoyed it. I was entertained, and I was happy with it.
I think that's the consensus, around.
I had a good time
around America. You know what I'm saying? Like, Conor showed up. He wasn't embarrassing. Floyd did what he did. People enjoyed the fight, and time moves on now. So what's the next thing? It's the two guys that are going to fight.
The two guys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, those two guys?
Yeah, and that's boxing.
Triple G and...
Canelo, is it Canelo?
Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah.
Or Canelo.
Yeah.
Shows you how much I know. I'm an MMA guy.
Yeah.
I was a McGregor. I'm sorry.
And that's my boxing knowledge, dude. Like, that's where I'm at, man. There's two guys coming up that are going to fight, and then it should be good. The boxing people say it's going to be a great fight. So...
They know more than us.
I'm ready for Bisping GSP.
They say it's good, then we'll watch it.
So, folks, don't expect too much more boxing talk here. And don't come to us for boxing knowledge. I'm telling you right now. We're not the ones.
We could throw some UFC in here.
UFC, yeah. UFC. But even that, you definitely UFC. If that's just the boxing, I don't, It ain't for me. But once a year.
If there's a good fight.
Yeah. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot to talk about. And we talked a lot tonight. But for this week, that's going to be the end of it. The Detroit Sports Sit Down. That's what you've been listening to. And I really do hope you enjoyed it. Listen, y'all. If you ever want to get a hold of us, we're out here. We're on Twitter. At Det Sports ENT, that's DETSPORTSENT. That's for Twitter. We're on Facebook. You can find us, Detroit Sports and Entertainment. We're all over the place. We're always posting. We're talking. You're talking. We're getting at each other. It's a lot of fun. These podcasts, you can find them on Podbean. All you gotta do is look for DetroitSportsSitDown.podbean.com. You can get this podcast just sent directly to your phone or your computer by going on to iTunes. All you gotta do is search the Detroit Sports Sit Down. We're on the World Wide Web at DetroitSportsAndEntertainment.com. And if you want to get at us through email, we're at DetroitSportsSitDown@gmail.com. There's a lot to look forward to because college football is coming, man. Football is coming, baby, and we're going to be talking about it. So get with us, get at us. And what we're going to do now is leave you with some of the greatest sports moments in Detroit history. Have a good night, y'all.
Tinsley Miller. And it's blocked again.
Oh! What a block!
How did Prince get there?
What a block! I didn't think it was any way possible for him to get this shot.
He's 10 rows into the crowd.
Top of second. The 1-0. Swinging a fly ball. Left field and deep. It's way back. The Tigers are going to the World Series. 3-run walk-off home run. Oh, man. Odojia's around third. He's into a box-seat at home. The Tigers have beat the A's 6-3, completed a 4-game sweep in one of the greatest turnarounds in baseball history.
10 seconds to go. Gonchar flips one. It's off the glove of Lindstrom. Sent back out to center. Eyes on Cleary. Gonchar turns it around. It is front right back. And a little pass to the front back. And that's it. The Detroit Red Wings, for the fourth time in 11 years, are the Stanley Cup champions. One last marvelous play.
The 1-1 to Nix. He swings and he pops it up on the right side. Fielder calling for it and he makes the catch. World Series bound. The Tigers sweep the Yankees with an 8-1 win.
It's his protection. He'll work out of the gun. Play clock at 3. Matthews got it back. Sets, looks, throws. He's got Golden Tate who makes the catch inside the 15, inside the 10, and he's breaking away. He's into the end zone. Pack the bags. Start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.